Welcome to Blackbird Writers Presents. We're a group of mystery writers, all different genres of mysteries. And we do Blackbird Writers Presents, where we interview authors about their new books, about what they're doing. And today our guest is Joy Ann Ribar. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about Joy. She writes the Deep Lakes Cozy Mystery Series, inspired by Wisconsin's Four Seasons and Friendly Quirks. Join Frankie Champagne baker, winemaker, and investigative reporter as she tracks suspects armed with delicious baked goods, bottles of vino, and old-fashioned intuition. Joy has a BA in journalism from University of Wisconsin-Madison and an MS in education from University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, and has taught high school English and college English for 20 years. She loves to connect with readers about writing, wine, bakery, and growing up in the Midwest. Her short fiction piece, The Bee Servant, received an honorable mention in the WWA 2020 Jade Ring contest. So welcome, Joy.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to be here and chat about mysteries.
Yes, it is. That's my favorite thing to talk about as far as books, because they're so varied. They're so varied. Now
Yes.
Yours are the Deep Lakes Cozy Mystery. You know, it came to me. I was like, okay, Deep Lakes, cozies, and then there's Lost Lakes Press. What is it about lakes and mysteries and writing in Wisconsin that, I was like, you've got a lot of lakes, don't you?
Yeah, well, exactly. So I think one of the biggest industries in Wisconsin is tourism, and we have a lot of camping and a lot of resorts and a lot of water sports and people who just enjoy being near the water and looking at water, in the water, fishing and water skiing, boating. There's a ton of things. And everything centers around lake life. Lake life is very big in Wisconsin. And so I wanted to feature that because the lakes are beautiful. And so it's nice to write about Wisconsin's nature and scenery. And I wanted my books to take place in a tourist town because we are littered with many little tourist towns that, what they have, they might only have a population of 300 or 400, but they have a lake. And so in the summertime during tourist season, the population explodes. And so that was, I thought, would be a fun way to feature Wisconsin and show people what Wisconsin looks like. Small town, but with a lot of visitors.
I was one of those visitors. I grew up in Illinois, and we used to go to Wisconsin Dells. I saw my first and is it called an amphibious vehicle? Where we were like in shock because we went from land to water, and we were like, oh my gosh,
Tons of fun. That's a very fun thing for visitors to do. I still enjoy doing it. When my grandkids came, we did it.
It is. Wisconsin's a wonderful place, and that's where we did a lot of our camping too. Is Deep Lakes a real place?
Deep Lakes is a conglomeration of all different places in Wisconsin, and I made it that way on purpose. I wanted it to be a fictional place, but I also wanted readers to be able to identify with all different things and for it to feel like home. And so it's interesting because when I do book events, people always say, oh, I know that's Lake Geneva. Oh, I know that's Wapaka. I mean, they all pick out a different lake town and say, I know where you set this. And I love it because it means that they can find something familiar that they can connect with.
Oh, that's wonderful. And that's so true. I think some Agatha Christie, they said that she kept her locations vague enough where they could have been they could have been set anywhere, and that people who read them did the same thing. Oh, I know where that's at. And I think that's a really good thing that readers appreciate. Do you think that, like, the fact that Wisconsin has 4 seasons, do you think that people like me who are in a place that doesn't really have 4 seasons, do you think that just adds to the setting and the mystery? And
yeah, I certainly hope so. I mean, I purposely set each of my mysteries in a different season, and a lot of the description that the mystery takes place around, it gives me a chance to show off the very distinctive seasons we have in Wisconsin, which I do find is attractive to people who don't live in Wisconsin. I know that I have some readers that are in Texas and Arizona or further south, and they said, I love to read about winter. I don't think I'd want to live in Wisconsin in the winter, but it sure is fun to read about it. And I think
Yeah.
it lends to the coziness as well when you have these very distinctive seasonal settings and seasonal festivities, and how much more authentic maybe they feel. Like you have when you have fall festivals, and your fall festivals go with all these beautiful fall colors of the trees. When Christmas has snow, I think that it just kind of lends to the coziness for sure, and I think people really enjoy that.
It does. As a reader, I can say that it does. Now your character, Frankie Champagne, is a very busy woman. She's a baker, a vintner, and a reporter. Have you taken on any of these jobs? I know that you were a journalism major, but have you taken on any of these jobs in your pre-writing days? Or are you doing any of them now? Do you love to bake? Do you?
I do love to bake, and my family loves it that I love to bake. And so
I,
do the neighbors and other, I mean, I live in a small town, so I always go overboard at Christmas time, and then I bake, and then I make up big cookie trays and I pass them around to our local businesses and the post office and the neighborhood. And I love to bake. I think baking is such a good release, and it's really good therapy. I learned how to bake from my mom at a very young age, and so that is something that I've always carried with me. So that's been fun. I got into wine when I was I'm a member of a community theater, and we did a play in 2013, and it was based in a convent. And I was one of the nuns at the convent. And in order to keep the convent open, we took the grapes that we'd harvested, that we were supposed to be doing to sell grape juice, but unbeknownst to the Mother Superior, we were secretly making wine with it. And so wine was a big part of this
oh, fun.
of this show, and it was a hilarious show. And so we formed these friendships with these other couples that were associated with the show, and they were really into Wisconsin wineries. And so we started hanging out together, and we started going all around the state to different wineries. And I started to develop a wine tasting palette, and I asked a ton of questions because I thought it was so interesting. And when I decided to write a book, I said, oh, my main character is going to be a baker and a vintner. That's it. I'm passionate about it. You're always told you should write what you enjoy and what you're passionate about and what you have experience with. And so that's really been fun. I've actually gone out to so many of the wineries and interviewed the winemakers and the grape growers, and I've harvested grapes, and I try to be as authentic as I possibly can be in my vineyard and Wisconsin winery descriptions.
Oh,
So yeah,
wow.
yes.
How fun.
And yes, and so of course, yeah, so Frankie is kind of a conglomeration of a lot of the things that I have experience in, which is being a small town newspaper reporter and editor. And it's easy to bring those experiences into her trying to have this fledgling reporting side job that she has. And she was a paralegal. I used to be a paralegal, so it was also very useful to use a lot of that paralegal and law experience in mystery writing, because you have to know some of the ins and outs of laws in order to be, again, it just is helpful in being authentic.
Yeah, you're describing small town life, and I'm getting very envious because it sounds like, is small town life really? I mean, everybody knows everybody, whether or not you're friends with them, or
They
I mean,
do,
just like you
for
imagine it.
better and worse. Yeah, for better and worse. But they do. And the other thing about small town life is sometimes when I do book events, people will say to me, now, it's not very realistic that Frankie could get that involved in an investigation, is it? And I said, well, if you know the police officers and you know the people who work in the sheriff's department, you really can just go up to them. If you already know them and you have a rapport, you can go up and ask them questions, and you would be surprised at how open some of those investigations really are. I mean, of course you can't, I mean, obviously she knows things that she's not supposed to know, but that's
Right.
part of fiction. But
Right.
you really can find things out in small towns that you might not be able to find out if you were in Chicago or Madison.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Speaking of friends, every sleuth has that posse of friends they're surrounded with that brings something to the table and that they rely on for help. So out of the series characters, well, does one person fulfill that role best, or does everybody bring a little something? Tell us about the supporting characters.
Yeah, I think her supporting cast and crew is so much fun, and I have a good time with them. But I think her best friend Carmen, who is also her business partner at the bakery, is probably one of the most important characters. She tries to keep Frankie grounded, but somehow Frankie always seems to rope her in to investigating with her. Like, well, you should come with me to this funeral and we can work the crowd and figure out who the suspects are. You should, so Carmen finds herself operating a lot out of her comfort zone a lot. And it's funny because she's also the straight shooter. Like I said, she will tell Frankie, you know, what is wrong with you? You shouldn't. Why are you doing this? What are you doing? And not only that, we have a bakery to run. I mean, she really is the person who can try to inject some reality into
Right.
the into the series. And I think it's a very real friendship, because I think oftentimes best friends are, we have things in common, but we also play off of each other and
Yeah.
bring each other to places where we need to be.
Yeah, I think that's a really good description of friendship. And this fourth, a Deep Lake Mystery, Deep Dyer Harvest. Now that came out just here in September 2022. Can you tell us about that one without giving too much away?
Sure. So in Deep Dyer Harvest, of course, it's harvest season. So Frankie's still in the middle of tourist season, because we get tourists in Wisconsin all the way through fall colors, but her grapes are ready, and her grapes are ready early. So they have to be harvested. So that is going on along with a fall festival where a bird expert, an ornithologist, has come to town. And I mean, this happens immediately. So the ornithologist, in the first 2 pages of the book, has drowned in a pond where she's supposed to be conducting a field trip.
A
So people
pond,
are
not a
actually supposed to
lake.
be, yeah, a pond. Yeah, she's in the marsh. So she's in the marsh pond, and of course, conveniently, she's found by Frankie's sister-in-law, who's out for a morning jog. So the sister-in-law does call 911 first, and then immediately calls Frankie and says, you live, you're at the vineyard. It's really, it adjoins to the marsh. Can you get over here? I don't want to be by myself. So of course, that's Frankie's entry into, like, what's going on here and how can I help solve this and get to the bottom of this? And did this person drown, and how did she drown? Did she get help? So then the entire novel then sets around this birding expert and all these other birding people that come into play into the storyline, along with harvest season in the vineyard. So
Yes, there was a lot going on in the book, but I still was able to tell everything, separate everything clearly in my head. It was very
good.
enjoyable.
Good. Yeah, there were quite a line of suspects that were that were possible. Yeah.
Yes, but that makes it good. I grew up reading like the Agatha Christie where, there's a zillion suspects and characters and stuff like that. So maybe our brains have been trained differently, but
I
that's
want my
good.
readers to be able to play along though, I want them to feel, and I don't want them to feel like I'm necessarily leading them down all the right paths to a logical conclusion. So by the time they get to chapter 6, they're done because they know everything there is to know. So it's realistic because Frankie herself has to go down a bunch of different rabbit holes. It's
Right.
not necessarily, a lot of crimes are not just cut and dried. Some are, but a lot of them aren't. So I like to invite readers to sort of join in the party of
Yes.
figuring the clues out and figuring out what suspects they do and don't like. And sometimes they don't like people and they want that person to be the murderer. It doesn't work out that way.
Do they actually write you and say, could you kill this person off? Oh my, how fun.
Readers fun. They're such a good
Yes,
time. I love to hear from them, and I love to hear their ideas. It's a good
those are
time.
great ideas, and then
Yeah, let me ponder on that. How does
yeah,
that fit the big picture? Yeah.
exactly. Well, speaking of big picture, a lot of times I've seen authors when they've gotten to like the fourth or the fifth book, they start toying with another series. But also there's authors who go on for 26 books in the series because they love it so much. So are you thinking about any other series, or are you have so many ideas for Frankie, or are you going to become a hybrid, or?
I do have a few more ideas for Frankie. I have one that I'm outlining right now, but before I do that, I've had another series that has been just developing in my brain, and characters have come to me and plot ideas have come to me. And while I was writing Deep Dyer Harvest, especially in my editing, I was really playing around with outlining this new series, and fleshing out some characters. And I think the book that I'm going to write this winter is going to be from that new series, which doesn't have a name.
How fun. You
Yes.
heard it here first, folks.
And it will be less cozy and more of a traditional mystery
Oh,
with
fun.
characters that are edgier, a little bit more
Ooh.
edginess to it, a little grittier, but still very quirky and still set in Wisconsin. But I think this will be set in Madison. I used to live in Madison, so again, I try so hard to be authentic and to kind of be able to write from places that I know.
Yeah.
And but I think it'll be very different just because it's set in the city and not in a small town.
Well, it's interesting you talked about a change of location because you recently said on your website or in your social media that you were going to be switching to that RV living and traveling. And I'm wondering are you looking for new locales, or how do you think that's going to affect your writing?
Oh, I think I'm very open to having it affect my writing because I think that we're so inspired by places and regional cultures and different events and different kinds of people. And I plan on being a sponge and trying to soak up all that and see where it lands. It wouldn't be, I don't think it would be unheard of at all, even to take Frankie on an RV trip. I mean, I think that it could be there could be a fun RV mystery.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then I'm just going to be very open-minded about it, but it'll be very inspiring.
Oh, fun. I think it sounds exciting. I think it's like you said, seeing all those new places and getting all those new ideas for where murders could happen.
Yes, yes. And a little scary at the same time.
Yes, yes, we can't discount that.
It's a big change. It's a big change, but my husband and I have actually been RV students. We've been studying the full timers for about 5 years, and because we thought we might want to do this, so we're not going into it blind, which is good. But it'll be an adventure, and I'm very open to the adventure.
Oh, fun. I just think it's good luck to you. It sounds very
Thank you.
exciting. But people
Thank
can
you.
still keep in contact with you and probably find out what's going on your journey with your newsletter, which has recipes, which strikes to my heart. I love that. Where can readers find you while you're traveling around? Oh, where, your website?
Yeah, I mean, so I'll still have, the anchor will still be my joyribar.com website. And they can subscribe to the newsletter on there. So I'll give updates on there. I plan to use my social media sites a lot more to say, here's where we are, here's what we're doing, and then here's what's going on. Because I think I'll do some pick up, pop-up book signings and
Fun.
things like that, and other places along the way too. So I think definitely my Instagram account is probably going to have more information than anything.
I look forward to hearing about all of that. So what are you working on now?
Yeah, so
What's
now
next?
I'm working on
Writing on
turning my
it.
house into an RV, but because we are actually going to leave the day after Thanksgiving, so that is truly right around the corner. But I am working on. I'm really want to flesh out. I like to do my plotting. I do some plotting on note cards and I always write. I handwrite a whole bunch of things and then I go straight to the keyboard and plunk out story. So I'm getting really antsy to write that new series. So I'm trying to trying to find a catchy title right now, which it's evading me, but maybe I feel like it's going to come to me. It'll come to me. And then that's going to be the next thing I'm going to really
How
sit
fun.
down and get that going.
Oh, wonderful. Everybody make sure you're signed up for the newsletter to keep up on the news, because I know that I can't wait to hear what you're doing and what your road trips are like. And I
Oh,
always like to
thanks.
mention Christmas books because I'm a Christmas mystery addict. And you do have Deep Flakes Christmas, which is a prequel to the series, and that is available on the usual places,
Yes.
Amazon.com and such. So I want to make a mention of that for your holiday list for your readers, your shopping list. And thank you, Joy, so much for being with us. Blackbirdwriters.com. Just check it out, check out the authors, and check out the interviews. Thank you again, Joy.
Thanks a lot, Jackie. It's fun talking.